Parshas Shmos. This Shmos is adapted from a Shmos of Moran Hagoin Reb Leib Chasman Zechat Tzaddik Levrocha. It says in the Pasuk, Vayokom Melech Chodosh Al Mitzrayim Asher Lo Yoda As Yosef. Rashi brings down that it's machlokes in the Gemara if Vayokom Melech Chodosh, was he a brand new king? Asher Lo Yoda As Yosef, who never even knew Yosef. And the other man, the Omar, holds that it's not a brand new king, because it should have said Vayomos, he died, Vayimlech Achat Tachtav. It should have said he died and another king reigned in his place. But since it doesn't say that, it implies that he wasn't a Melech Chodesh really. He wasn't a brand new king. Ella, he had new policies. Shenischachu Gezeirosav. He came to be a terrible tyrant. This old king turned into a vicious, cruel tyrant. Asher Lo Yoda As Yosef, and he was a king as if he never even knew Yosef. He did know him. It's the same Yosef. He did know him. It was the same king, but he just had an about face, and he became cruel, a cruel tyrant, ruthless. And what we'd like to do is to make a little study into him. Who was this Parai? Who was he really? Was he a fool? Was he smart? Was he brilliant? And we can see, perhaps, that he was really a brilliant person who had tremendous midas tovos. He had midas tovos, and he was very smart. Because it says in the pasuk that after he heard the interpretation, Yosef's interpretation of his dreams, Vayome Parei Al Avodav, this is in Parshas Miketz in Bereshis. Vayome Ma Parei Al Avodav, Parei said to his servants, Hanimtzu Kazeh Ish Asher Ruach Elokim Bai. He recognized, can we find any other person like Yosef who had the Spirit of God within him? You can't be a simple person to be able to recognize Hakora Sa'emes, to recognize the truth. And he said, Atotiyeh al Beisi, you're going to rule over my house. Vayosa Parei as Tabate me'el Yodoi. Parei took off his signet ring from his hand and he put it on the hand of Yosef. Vayarkev Oisai b'merkeves HaMishnah, and he made him ride at the second chariot. So we see from here that we see that, first of all, and the question is, why did he do all this, Parei? Why did Parei elevate Yosef to be Tiyal Basi? You'll be over my whole house. And he gave him his signet ring. He gave him his ring, which is a very significant factor. And he also made him ride in the second chariot. Nothing happened yet. I mean, all Yosef did was interpret the dreams and say it's going to be 7 years of plenty, and then there's going to be 7 years of hunger. But nothing happened. All Yosef did was tell them his interpretation of the dreams, and immediately Pari recognized greatness in him. He has the Spirit of God, and he gave him his ring, and he gave him he elevated him to the Merkevas HaMishnah, to the second chariot. Nothing happened yet. The answer is that even though nothing happened yet, but he was able to understand, recognize that Yosef was speaking the truth. For that, you have to be a smart man. He was able to see right through the interpretation that Yosef was making, and he saw that it's true. So we see from here, he was very smart. We see from here, he had the humility. He was able to give away everything he had, almost everything. Rak hakisei egdal mimeka, only my throne will be greater than you. But he was able to, he had humility, he gave over everything to Yosef. He put Yosef in the Merkevas HaMishnah, in the second chariot after him. So we see that he was brilliant, and we see also he was a big Bal Midos Toves. And even more, we could see his Midos, because Chazal tell us in the Medrash Rabbah, and in the Medrash Tanchuma, that the people of Mitzrayim came to Paroi, and they came to Yosef, they came to Paroi, and they said, let's go and harm the Jews. We have to harm the Jews. And Paroi said, what? How could we harm the Jews? Do you know what we owe them? We owe them our very lives. Do you know, if not for Yosef, we wouldn't be alive today? And he fought with them. He disagreed with them. And they said, we're taking away the kingdom from you. That's what it's brought in the Medrash. And 3 months, he was not the king anymore. And he fought them. He says, how could you lack hakaras hatoiv? How could you lack appreciation to a Yosef and his people who did so much to help us? So we see he had brilliance, he had humility, he had hakaras hatoiv. He was a wonderful person. And what happened? After 3 months, he couldn't take it anymore. He couldn't withstand the test. And he said, okay, give me back my kingdom, and I'll do whatever you want. You want to harm the Jews, you can harm the Jews. So he couldn't withhold the test, but the revelation is that he was able to fight them even for 3 months. They stripped him of his kingdom. So he had brilliance, he had humility, he had hakaras hatoiv. And what happened to this wonderful human being? That he turned into a vicious tyrant, Comes along Moron Hagoin, Reb Leib Chasman Zecher Tzadok Levrocha, and he tells us that we see from here the fact that he turned min hakotza el hakotza. He turned from one extreme to the other, to a stream of being brilliant and kind and Bal Midos and everything good, to the opposite, to ruthless tyrant. We see from here that a person can lose it all very quickly. And a person can't say to himself, look, I'm a good Jew, and I learn Torah, and I do mitzvahs, and I do chesed, and think that it's going to continue that way forever. It can, and hopefully it will. But a human being, such as Parai, who had such great qualities, was able to slip and lose it all, and go and be yored. He was able to go mi'igra rama labira mikta. He was able to go from a high pedestal to a low pit, and that's what a human being is. So the lesson from this is how we all have to. We're doing great things, and we're doing wonderful things, and we're bnei Torah, and we're learning Torah, and we're doing chesed and mitzvahs and helping people, and we shouldn't think shouldn't take for granted it's going to be forever. Because a human being has flaws within him, has fallacies, and he could sink to the lowest level, to the opposite of what he is. If he doesn't safeguard and learn Musar and learn Hasidus and whatever turns him on, whatever keeps him up there, he has to do that and inspire himself constantly so that he shouldn't sink to lower depths. We should be zecha to prepare ourselves that it should never happen, but the human being has that flaw within him. So we should see that to safeguard whatever level we're on. Amen.